So you've been watching Blade in New York for a while, and you finally decided to pick up your own skates. Problem is, you go to the website, and your choices are endless. Where do you start? So today I'm here with Michael, which he was in our previous video. I don't know if you remember with the New York City one. And I don't have too many skates, but fortunately he has a vast collection of skates. So we're gonna demo today the different kinds of skates, what makes them particularly different, and their uses.
All right, we'll start with a pair of skates that aren't mine. It's a K2 Alexis, sort of a recreation skate. This is the kind of thing that a lot of beginners are recommended, right?
Yeah.
The big selling point of these is that they're really comfortable, especially the K2s with the soft boot. It doesn't really give you a lot of hot spots like some other skates can. You'll also commonly find something like a speed lacing system, and typically a heel brake, although this doesn't have one right now.
This previously had a heel brake, but it no longer has it.
Something else that's common on them is softer wheels than you'll usually find on other skates. These are 80A, which is fine for like a beach, boardwalk, that kind of situation. But if you're skating on the street or T-stopping a lot, that's going to wear down real quickly.
So the upsides to rec skates is that they're supposed to be comfortable with the soft boot, like you mentioned, the quick lacing, they have a brake, but they have their downside too, okay? So this skate is pretty much capped off to begin with. So this is a skate for someone who skates maybe once a week, probably skates for some light exercise and social reasons.
Right.
But as far as anything besides that, the skate's capped there. And the reason is the frame isn't upgradable, and the reason is because it doesn't have a standard mount. So most of these rec skates are actually riveted on like this. So they're not designed to have upgraded frames. This is pretty much the frame you get it with and it ends with. This is a problem because if it breaks, it's kind of hard to replace.
You also can adjust it side to side to compensate for your own specific body. So like you said, they're kind of limited in terms of performance. I wouldn't try to do a power slide in these. And as far as, distance, I agree. Something like 15 miles a week, maybe. And even less if you're doing, if you're going to be on rough surfaces, the wheels are going to go pretty quickly. The bearings are probably pretty mediocre.
Yeah, they're probably ABEC 5 or 7 max. And another thing as far as structure, like I said, they're soft boots. So most rec skates are soft boots because they're designed to be comfortable. There's no break-in. But there's also a trade-off. I find that soft boots tend to be less supportive in the rec world. So this cuff will actually flex more than more of a premium skate, and that could be a bad thing if you're a heavier person. So if you're large or tall, you might lack support in these. So the trade-off is like comfort for support. So you definitely don't want to be doing tricks in these because, like I said, the cuff isn't supportive, and you can compromise yourself by trying to do something crazy and then having the cuff not hold out for you.
So if you're a beginner, you can definitely go with this if you feel like it suits your limited needs, or if you have a limited budget, something like that. But a lot of the skates that we're going to show you don't have really a minimum entry point. You can be a beginner and you can start with something a little on the more higher end. All right, the next skate we're going to show you is an urban skate, also commonly called a free skate.
Free skate sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. This is typically a full hard shell skate, plastic boot, full tall cuff, typically with a removable liner.
Yeah, they have removable liners, yeah.
And very often 4 wheels, 4x80, or in this case 4x84, sometimes a little larger.
They can come with a 3x110 or
4x90 even?
4x90. They're intended for a little more serious use. So maybe some tricks, maybe some slides.
Stairs,
stair bashing and all that. And this is true in its design in the sense that, like I said, it is a hard boot, but they usually come with replaceable slide protectors. So this here on the side is designed to save the boot when you slide out. doesn't really do a good job, to be honest, but that's what they're there for. Another thing you'll notice, you can see here that the cuff is, the buckle on the cuff is actually protected. So if you were to fall, this part here deflects it, so the cuff is safe. I mean, the buckle is safe.
Yeah, it shows here even. There's some
you
wear
can
on
see
it.
Here. It's served its purpose. It's ground down, and as you can see, this is ground down, but this is actually pretty intact. The parts are generally replaceable. You can replace the cuff. They're usually like color kits or aftermarket parts that you can get.
Adjustability, I guess. In addition to being replaceable, you can adjust the cuff to different settings, up higher or lower, more forward, depending on the amount and the kind of flex that you want. The frames also have a standard 165 mount, which refers to the distance between the two bolts that keep the frame on the boot. So you can swap the frame if you want something with different size wheels, if you want a different size wheelbase, if the frame gets damaged or something like that. Right, so this is actually the same model, but with a 3x110 frame. And this is actually becoming pretty common recently, 3 big wheels. It gives you sort of better rolling. You can roll over rough surfaces or objects more easily. But because there are only 3 wheels instead of 4, the wheelbase stays pretty short, which maintains that same level of agility.
Another thing that's good about like a harder boot, and a lot of people don't discuss it, is that if you have a stronger boot, you can put a taller frame on it without feeling the height as much.
Right.
So if you have, back to this rec skate, which I already mentioned had a like flimsy cuff, and you would have a taller frame on it, it would stress the cuff more, and you would feel less stable, and the boot would flex in an unwanting way. You would feel like you have less control.
Right.
This isn't the case with urban/free skates, which are built a lot stronger and have a stronger cuff. Therefore, you can swap the frames out and not feel the difference as much.
Yeah. So that's probably the 2 most common kind of skates you'll find out there on the market. The rest of these are a little more specialized. Like this is typically called a freestyle skate. It's done a little bit, it's used more commonly for things like slalom skating with cones or doing fancy slides, stuff like that. It's built a little bit more flexible and more supple than a hard shell skate, which also means it's a bit less durable.
It's also I wouldn't say it's supportive. The base is really strong. You know, it still has a very strong bottom. It's not like the floppy rec skate, but it is designed to give you more ankle mobility.
Right.
Because per se, like let's say if you're doing slalom, which is slalom skating is maneuvering around cones that are on the floor, the techniques require you to have more ankle mobility for doing complicated moves. So as you can see, this skate here has like not a full cuff. You can see it is connected here, goes into the boot, but it's not that massive plastic cuff that wrapped around like the previous setup.
Right.
So something that's more particular to a freestyle skate, or like I'd call it a slalom skate, but then there's a disagreement here. But is they generally come with rockered frames. Okay, so a rockered frame means that all 4 wheels aren't evenly touching the ground. So if you were to lay this on something flat, you would notice that the front wheel and the front wheel and the back wheel don't touch the ground, while the 2 center wheels do. And this is particular to slalom. You can use it for other reasons too, but this allows you to be more agile for certain activities which require it. These skates generally do not have removable liners.
Right.
So what you can see here is that the liner is built into the boot. So that has a removable liner. Can you take it out or try to take it out so they can see? So
let's see. Right,
so
it comes out.
So as you can see here, this liner comes out of the boot. So there's like a standalone shoe inside of this hard shell, which means you can replace it. And if it gets stinky, you can wash it. That's not the truth. That's not the case with this. This is stuck in here, okay? So if you don't like the way it feels, you can't change it. If it gets stinky, it's kind of hard to clean. But like I said, there's a purpose for this. It's because this skate is designed to be precise, and you want a direct connection to the actual boot. Therefore, the liner and the boot are one.
This kind of skate has less overall support than a hard shell skate, but it's sort of supportive in a different way. This is more sort of brute strength support. You know, you have the shell coming at you from all sides, whereas this achieves a little more, a better fit through typically 3 closures at the toe, the arch, and then up at the ankle. So it's kind of just a different method of achieving a lot of precise control of your skate.
So the next kind of skate we're going to talk about is the aggressive skate. Okay, so this is another specialized skate, which is designed with primarily one specific purpose, is for aggressive skating. Aggressive skating consists of grinding. You can't really grind in any other skate. Arguably you can. I'm not trying to have that argument. There's special parts on this skate specifically for that activity. And just to start off with the very different parts is aggressive skates have something called sole plates. So if you look at the bottom of this skate, there's a designated area on the outside that's made just for grinding. So technically this is called a positive and this is called a negative, but it's a sole plate. It's the area designed to slide on when you grind. I'll probably cut in some video of someone grinding so you know what it looks like, so I'm not talking too crazy. As far as things that are particular to this skate, like the urban free skate, it is a hard boot. There are some soft boots, yes, for aggressive, but a good amount of them are hard boots. And this is mostly because you're gonna bang your foot up a lot when you're doing tricks, right, and you mess up. Bang, yeah, exactly. And because of this, this has that thing we mentioned earlier, that the cuff protects the buckle. See how if I were to try to hit the buckle, my hand gets deflected. Another thing you don't really see on aggressive skates is a 45-degree strap. And if they do have one, it's generally Velcro. So
right, you could easily hit that and break it.
So if you were skating and you did a grind and you missed, you would hit this and it would just snap off. And because of this, you generally don't see that kind of buckle, like a ratchet plastic buckle on an aggressive skate. If you do see it, it's usually Velcro, and it's when it gets hit, it doesn't break. It's a lot better. Another thing that's particular to this is a UFS mount.
Right. All UFS frames are going to have a flat top, like you said. And they're typically plastic, which slides better for grinding, although you're seeing a lot more aluminum frames these days. And you also typically see pretty small wheels. Like these are, I think, 60 millimeters. And in the center, you'll commonly have basically plastic wheels called anti-rockers, which again just slide more easily on surfaces so you don't get caught.
So another thing that's particular to the skate is between the 2 middle wheels, there's a large space designed for doing grinds also. In particular, they're called the groove tricks or H-block tricks. This is another thing that's particular to this skate. This skate is essentially for sticking in one spot. So you're either stuck at the skate park and you're hitting ledges and you're the half pipe and all sorts of obstacles, or you're at a street spot and you're hitting the same thing over and over again.
Right.
But you really wouldn't want to take a long trip with this because the wheels are small. Mm-hmm. There's 2 wheels, and there's a 4-wheel setup, we'll get to that. There's 2 wheels, and they're heavy. So
right,
now I'm going to talk about another aggressive. So you can get aggressive skates that have 4 wheels, okay? And this is an Aeon. And it's a very particular skate. I don't get into the details. As you can see here, these skates have 4 wheels, okay? This is what they call riding flat. So you can go a little further, but I still wouldn't say do distance in them. But because they have 4 wheels, they ride much smoother. You have more speed. The downside to having a flat skate setup is that they're a little harder to land tricks on, because you get something called a wheel bite. Some people would say that doing aggressive tricks are harder on flat setups, but skating in general is easier in a flat setup.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah, you can replace the sole, you can switch out the frame for a different one. if it wears down or you just want to try something different. The cuffs you can replace.
The liners.
The liner you can replace. Buckles, laces, pretty much everything. So we mentioned that this is not a great setup to skate distances with. You can put some big wheel UFS frames on an aggressive skate. That's pretty popular. There are more and more options for frames like this in a UFS standard. And that, serves its purpose, but we kind of think it's not ideal. Like you said before, these skates tend to be a bit heavier. The cuff tends to be more flexy, so it doesn't give you quite the support of like an urban or a free skate. It's not, an optimal setup for that. And, if you're used to an aggressive skate and you want to do it, that's cool. A lot of people we know have been, did aggressive for a long time, and then they tried speed skates or a proper free skate, and they're just blown away by the difference.
There's a big difference.
So the boot, both of these boots are kind of described as marathon boots. This Seba is it's a little more plush than a typical speed skate. It's got a bit of a cuff up here to give you some support when you're going really long distances or a long amount of time.
They generally have longer frames. They don't have to have 3 or 4 wheels. There's been a lot of 3-wheel marathon / speed skates appearing, but 4 wheels are also common, and they're generally somewhere around 100 millimeters and up, right? 100.
Yeah, 100 or 110.
So 100 or 110 by 4 or 125 by 3. But they are larger wheels on a marathon skate, and it's a much larger frame. This is a 12.6 inch frame.
Right. That's like 315 millimeters.
I know for you millimeter people, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But there is a longer frame, which is a lot better, like stability and for the stride. If you have a shorter frame, it's also harder to keep your foot on the ground when doing a stride because it's kind of hard to explain. The pressure is
you kind of pitch up a little
faster,
bit, right, at the toe.
And if you have a longer frame, it allows you to put power into the ground for a longer time before you actually have that lift.
Okay.
Another thing that's true about these is they're generally made out of like carbon fiber, so a lighter material. So this is carbon fiber. All right. They don't have removable liners. All marathon and speed skates, if they're really marathon or speed skates, have a fixed liner.
Right.
And this is similar to the whole
freestyle skate.
Freestyle / slalom skate,
right.
Is that you have to have direct contact and power transfer into the boot.
Right.
And to do that, you have to have an integrated liner. So there's you cannot replace the liner on these. Higher end, like marathon skates, more like speed skates, won't even have a real liner. They'll just be like leather on the inside, and they'll be molded to your foot. But we're gonna get to speed skates soon. We're still on marathon skates.
Typically, the mounting standard for this, it's also 2-point and it's raised at the heel, but it's elongated to 195, and we'll see kind of why that is when we get to the 4-wheel speed skate.
All right, so let's get to actual speed skates.
Okay, so here we go. Unlike the 2 skates we just showed you, this one has no cuff whatsoever. It's got much less padding on the inside.
Much less.
Like the tongue is literally a strip of leather. Again, carbon fiber and leather, and big wheels. This time it's 4 by 110. And I think the reason why they use the 195 mount is basically the mounts are right here, so you can raise the frame. Basically, you want the wheels as close to the boot as possible, and putting the bolts out here allows them to kind of rest in between the front 2 wheels and the back 2 wheels. Whereas if they were closer, the bolts would, at 165, they would be like here.
Yeah, they would land around the middle wheel.
Yeah, and around the top of the wheels there. So I think that's why they went with that standard.
So there's no cuff on this. It's like the marathon skate, no cuff. And like we said, that's because you really want to be able to keep your foot on the ground and have a lot of ankle mobility.
Right.
If you have a cuff, you will have some resistance as far as how forward you can go.
Yeah.
You'll see this for like you can do distance and marathon in these, but one place you'll never see a cuff in is in like speed skating. So just pure speed skating. So
Right.
not long distance, but racing, on a track.
Yeah, indoor, especially if it's short distance, like indoor speed skating, or even like high level marathon
Yeah.
skating, like what takes place in Berlin.
You'll still
mostly
see some
this.
cuffs in there every now and then. So,
Yeah.
I guess that covers every genre. Can we hold them all up?
That covers everything that I have.
So that covers every.
I don't know what's in the video.
All of them. Is this for every possible? I already have an aggressive skate.
Yeah, you do? All right.
All right, that's everyone. Goddamn.
Almost. And I have a few at home
All
actually.
right, it's okay. That's like, so. We've covered every skate now, and I hope we helped in your picking of skates. We like to welcome you to the world of inline, regardless of which, I guess, practice or discipline you take up.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you have any more questions, we can answer them in the comments below. And as usual, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.